Welcome back to the 6th episode of Talk It Up with Taylor. This is actually my second time recording this. I recorded for half an hour, blabbing away, and it ended up not recording the audio, so that was fun. Here we go, round 2. Hopefully I can make this a little bit more concise now that we got out all of the blurbs and mess ups. We're still gonna mess up. We're still gonna have to edit. But welcome back. It's been quite a week. It's been quite a past week. It's been overwhelming. We've had the allergies, going from the cold weather. I walked in with a coat this morning to ripping it off because it felt like a sauna. So here we are in our apartment with the AC and we're still sweating. It's all fun and games. We asked for the warm, hot weather, and here it is. Want to recap this past week real quick. Was just feeling down, and we talked about, life has been a lot lately. There's a lot coming at you, and I caught up with my friends, and we kind of talked about all of the things that's changed over the past year, and noticing all the changes, not just with ourselves, but with the world in general. And maybe I'm just seeing it more because a lot of my friends, we're all graduating college, we're all in our first jobs. But how a lot of people go to college and they end up switching their careers or they end up taking a non-traditional route. I mean, hello, you have TikTok influencers and workout influencers, and what don't you have that's an influencer? Yeah, here I am doing a podcast right now, so there we go. One of the things that we talked about over the weekend was how it's hard to stay in touch with people. Even making a FaceTime call or a text or even a Snapchat or a DM or something, trying to keep in touch with people, and you get these notifications, you get a text message, and you're like, okay, I'll get to it, I'll respond, I gotta catch up with that person, and then all of a sudden 2 weeks go by, and you're like, I don't think I ever did get back to that person or ended up doing that thing. It just keeps getting put off because I have so many other things that are just piling up over here in the background or in front of me, and I'm just like, nope. But a large part of being overwhelmed right now for me personally is I'm coming up on my coming up on my 1 year at work and looking back and reflecting at everything I've done within the past year. And I was like, wow, we've done a lot and it's flown by, and here we are. We're going to keep going. At the same time, I'm like, okay, who am I as an individual? What am I doing as an adult now? I think I might have mentioned this in a previous episode, but if I haven't, here it is. That sign back there, this one I'm pointing at. It says, I'm an adult, but not like a real adult. And that just really hits home with me because I have that inner child where I'm like, no, I feel like a 5-year-old on the inside, but no, we're not. We're not 5 anymore. We're not playing with crayons and paste, not glue sticks, paste. I'm going to throw it back for you guys. I was listening to my Aunt Dory's podcast, Listen Up Ladies, and she had this guest on there, and they were talking about binge eating and overeating and what could be causes of that. And a lot of it was stress and being overwhelmed, but also from COVID, people went into isolation. And I can kind of feel that now where I was in college, I had all those friends surrounding me. You have all of those people who are influencing you in your lives, and friends are a big factor in that. Now you come home and I don't have anyone besides Fergie influencing me. I mean, I'm not meowing. Sometimes if you're mocking the cat, you're like meow, but just crazy cat lady things. I think that's the route we're taking, and we're not going to say if it's good or bad. We're just going to let it be. I'm having a hard time thinking right now because since I already recorded this once, I'm like, what did I talk about already? But yeah, so I listened to her podcast, and her guest was saying how when you're in isolation, you're adjusting or shifting your lifestyle and trying to figure out then who you are as a person. So from this past year, really doing some reflecting and being like, okay, we got to keep improving with our career. At the same time, how are we doing as an individual? Are we growing as a person? What are we learning from this world? And then also adulting, which is just its own thing. People should talk about adulting more. Really should. I know they do, and a lot of the kids are like, okay, whatever, you're just old. Yeah, no, we're old. Even when me and my friends were going out, we were in Chicago, you know, those are like $15, $20 drinks. Ridiculous. We were going out, we're like, guys, we can't be doing this anymore. Our bodies are not, we're not up to it. You know, instead of like a few hour hangover recovery, it's like a day or two. We can't be doing that anymore. It's still fun, don't get me wrong. It takes a toll. But it really is. When I was thinking of what to call this podcast or what to even talk about, Fergie, she's biting her tail right now. When I was getting ready to record this podcast, I was like, okay, what do I want to talk about for this week? And I was like, well, this past week we're feeling very overwhelmed. When I've been reflecting on what I've been doing throughout the past year, I was like, wow, that's a lot. Overwhelmed. So I was like, you know what? We're just going to talk about being overwhelmed because especially with COVID, we were thrown into it. And now it's like all of a sudden everyone's coming out of it. It's like chop, 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 back to work, back to everything that you were doing before. Come on, get with the program. You have to know about this. You have to know about that. What? You're not with it. You don't know about this. How could you? I mean, even when it came to recording this episode of Talk It Up, I was like, oh my gosh. We have to set aside time. We have to get this done. I'm recording this right now on Talk It Up Tuesday and trying to post it tonight. So I'm like, oh my gosh, go, 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 Taylor. You got to work faster. You got to work quicker. Come on. It's like, okay, we can take a second. We can take more than a second. We can take a minute. We can take an hour. We can do what feels right for us. And I feel like when it comes to that whole who you are as a person in isolation, who you are as an individual, without all of those influences of you should do this and you should do that, or don't do this, don't do that. You're like, okay, what are my own thoughts and opinions though? What do I think as an individual from my own experiences and what I've gained for what I think is best for me instead of other people telling me or controlling what I'm doing with my life? So that also was a whole other added factor of me just being like, can we all just pause for a second and recuperate and think about everything that's coming out of our mouths for a second? I think one of the things that really made me think about how I was feeling over the past week was I wasn't just feeling it, but you know, when people come up to you and they're like, hey, how are you doing today? And you're like, oh, good, how are you? And they're like, oh, good. And it's like, are you good? Because sometimes you can tell people that, you know, they're having a rough day, but they use that default response of good because they don't want to get into whatever it is. We may or may not have talked about this in another one, but just kind of tying it all in together. And I started thinking to myself when I would say, oh, I'm good. I'm like, hold on. Am I just saying that because we're so used to having that as a default response, or am I actually good? So I started to think about it. I was like, I feel really stressed. You know, we can tell we're a little panicky, we're out of focus, we're fidgety. I started thinking about it. I was like, no, we're not okay right now. And I will say it was a hard, weekend. It was a hard past few days. I was like, okay, we got to get out of this. It's going to be okay. I think sometimes you don't even have the time to be like, am I okay? Like, you don't even have that second to yourself to recuperate and be like, all right, how are we? Are we good? Doing a little self-talk, self-love action. But yeah, the whole thing of this episode was trying to keep it shorter because I was like, wow, I'm overwhelmed. And of course, we got to record another one, but it's all good. We're better now. So, I mean, you go in waves, you try to stay here. You're going to have a little hovering and going above and below, but at the end of the day, you got to make the most of it. So trying to have that positive mindset, doing your best, trying to do your best, even if it's not the best of days. What really brought it all together was, after coming back to work, after having one of those weeks and be like, all right, we got to get back to the grind. I had this interview today with a girl who had cancer, and she's all recovered now, but she had to make a wish. And instead of using that wish on herself, she became selfless and used that wish to help not only another person, but to help the whole community. She's building this, or not, she's not building it, but she used her Make-A-Wish to have this ramp built on the beach so that those who have wheelchairs, or even if they're bringing strollers or wagons, that type of thing, making it easier access for the whole community and just not herself. And I was like, I love that. But she was also saying how in this time her mom was the one who was feeling down. And she was kind of like that light, creating that positivity and telling her mom that it was going to be okay, that she had cancer. and using the song Don't Worry, Be Happy as her little mantra or theme song to get through it, which I was like, wow, we need more people like you in this world, because I'm loving everything you're saying and doing. You're following through with it, and I love your morals, your ethics, your character as a human being. I just love you as a human being. But something else, when she said she told her mom when she found out she had cancer, was God doesn't give you anything that you can't handle. And as she was saying that, I was thinking about the down week I had before, and I was like, you're right. We're all good now. It was a rough week, but we got over it. We moved through it, and here we are. So in talking with other people I know, in the past episode, we were talking about bringing guests on, and I'm really excited to share that when I did go to Chicago, my friend Cassidy, one of her friends, Stephanie, we started talking about vacuums. Yeah, no, we were ready to go out to the bars, and we were talking about vacuums, which is probably one of the most adult things you could talk about. Not like vacuums itself, but you know, the little things of adulting that you get excited about, like gas prices going down or new dish detergent or something silly like that, where you're like, wow, this could make my life a little bit easier. But I'm planning on having her as well as a few other friends on here. I've had conversations. I think they could lead to even better conversations, because hey, if you can have a full-on conversation about vacuums, I can only imagine where that conversation will lead you to. Okay, I think we hit on everything that we were hitting on. This seems a lot quicker, which it is, because I got it all out in the other one and just like really kept expanding it. But we're gonna keep this concise again. We're gonna move on. I need to take this makeup off because I'm sweaty. I've had it on since 4 a.m, and you know, it's 4 o'clock. We got to get this episode out to you guys. So here you go. If you're not on the website already, if you need a place, if you need another reminder, you're going to talkitupwtaylor.weebly.com. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. You enjoy this weather. It is sunny out if you're in the Midwest. 80 degrees. Let's go. Got to check the UVs to see if you can tan. Or just get outdoors. Just enjoy Mother Nature, because we've been cooped up inside for way too long. Okay, that's it. Go enjoy the sun and have a great week.